Glenn Close is working to break the stigma surrounding mental illness, in part by co-founding the organization Bring Change to Mind with her sister Jessie and her nephew Calen. Ending mental health discrimination is a deeply personal cause for Close, as both Jessie and Calen have been diagnosed with mental illness. People sat down with the Hollywood icon and activist in a candid interview about her family's struggles with mental health and why she thinks normalization of the topic is empowering.
My sister Jessie and her son move me every day, and how they have struggled to manage their illnesses and to have viable, fulfilling lives. That to me is so moving and so inspiring. I tuned into some of the national Bring Change to Mind student meetings, and the fact that they were so engaged, so curious. I remember one girl saying, "Everybody says that our generation is going to change the world. I'm just trying to figure out how to get through the day." And that was so moving to me, you know. Yeah, we all say they're going to change the world, but what are they dealing with? I went to a series of tests at Columbia in New York, and it came out of that, and they said, "You're depressed." And I said, "What?" I wouldn't label myself as a depressed person, but I think what I've lived with probably a good portion of my life is a low-grade depression that can sometimes feel like like the mist, or there's like a veil over you, and you can imagine what it would be like without it, but you've gotten so used to living with it that it's not something you think about much. But I do take a not a huge dose, but I take a daily dose of antidepressant for that. And it helps. It really helps. I'm just not afraid to talk about it. I'm just not afraid. To me, it's a natural thing to talk about. For me, it's part of being a human being. It's part of the human condition. So it's empowered me, actually. I think being able to talk about specific mental illnesses and mental health is empowering.
Bring Change to Mind has started a powerful national dialogue about mental health, and Close shared how she believes transparency will serve those affected.
We started it not knowing anything about what we were getting into, and we wanted to stay authentic. So we've grown small, in small increments and authentically. And the fact that now, I think it would be safe to say, we're one of the major mental health organizations in this country, I think that's incredible. And I'm very proud of that. And there's so many people behind the scenes. We have an amazing staff. Pamela Harrington who's our CEO in San Francisco, but it's the people who have formed the community, the Bring Change to Mind community on our social platforms. People who have blogged for years, who have shared their stories, who, the kids who organize their clubs and reach out into their communities and into their families. It has to be grassroots to be lasting change. And so I'm very proud that I think we are that. We are a grassroots movement that's only getting bigger and more effective. You can't solve problems unless you talk about them, and you don't get courage, certainly around certain words in mental illness, schizophrenia being the scariest one. If you say it enough, it will lose its power over you. Words are very powerful, and the simple act of talking about it and not whispering, it's very powerful and very empowering.
Later this month, People is teaming up with Bring Change to Mind for a Mental Health Awareness Month video series featuring Billy Porter, MJ Rodriguez, Justin Baldoni, and more. It'll stream on People.com and People TV May 24th through May 27th.
It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful mix of people talking about the issues that we're all facing now, especially with, Black Lives Matter and the Me Too movement and all the trauma from COVID and our political situation. I think we need to find the voices who can speak for us and really bring us together and have dialogue that takes everyone's point of view into question. And I think that is going to be very, very exciting.
For more on Glenn Close, pick up this week's issue of People on Newsstands Friday.